A lofty and stern massif, luring and commanding, the Buceg Mountains combine, in a metaphor of paradise, various aspects of biology and geography on such a small surface. Made up mostly of limestone and gritstone conglomerates and located between Prahova Valley and Yalomita Valley, the tall mountain surrounds its smooth plateaus with overwhelming steep heights of over 1,000 meters, reigning over the Dambovita county. The poetry of the panorama timidly wriggles through the ripples of the Yalomita spring, which lies right beneath the Olmo peak, and which has, throughout its course, created many gorges. The story of Dambovita County starts in the Buceg Massif and continues to mirror in the Bolboc and Skropoasa accumulation lakes. But the Buceg Mountains couldn't be what they are today without their impressive monuments. Babele, a limestone formation skillfully chiseled by the winds. And the Babele wouldn't be so wonderful without the piercing, chilling look of the Sphinx. At the foot of the Leptic mountain, travelers feast their eyes on the wild landscape of the botanical reserve Leptic peat bog. Here, the 1 meter thick pit layer is crossed by several tricklings of water, many of them being formed at this level. Higher up, you find the Horoabe Canyon, known for its flower varieties. One of the most impressive landscapes is offered to us without restrictions by the Zănoagă Mare Gorges, the biggest reserve in the whole of Bucegi Mountains. The scree on the mountains and the gorge walls, basking in the sunlight, is home to some of the most rare forms of vegetation in Romania. The preservation over the centuries of this island of vegetation was made possible by the local microclimate, sunlit limestone rocks, and shelter from the northeast current due to the brave position of the rocks. Not far away, the Tartars Gorges Natural Reserve smiles to the travelers going by with its beautiful landscapes of scores of protected plants. Apart from these interesting species, the reserve is of particular interest through the geologic and speleologic component. The serene and quiet Ialomița River flows down from the days of old onto the foot of the Omu Peak, and then, little by little, spreads its array of gorges. Spectacular through its dazzling steep cliffs, the Ialomița Gorges stand dignified and impressive. The hard rocks were defeated by time and water. Near the springs of the Ialomița River, overwhelmed by the height of the walls of naked rock, lies the cave monastery compound. For 4 centuries, the buildings which make up the compound have burned and were reborn just as strong. Located in the gorges, the cave opens up the gates of time to recreate bygone ages. Valuable due to its old age, and also due to an impressive collection of icons, the Viforuta monastery, erected near the Dalu monastery, overlooks and seemingly keeps vigil over the Târgoviște voivodal residence. Exterior painting reached its peak during the Brâncoveanu age, with the stone church from Doicești, which is the most beautifully decorated of the Brâncoveanu churches, with exterior painting and, on the inside, a votive fresco depicting Constantin Brâncoveanu's whole family. Referred to by Nicolae Iorga as the Church of Peace between Brothers, the Stela Monastery was built as a sign of reconciliation between voivodes Vasile Lupu and Matei Basarab. Built in the Wallachian Byzantine style by the renowned scholar and politician Udiște Năsturel in 1653, the Târgului Church is striking due to the outer decoration, painted in anthropomorphic motifs, knights in fighting positions, reminding of the great battles to protect Christianity. Near the Târgoviște Archbishopric, there is the Crețulescu Church, with paintings by the great painter Gheorghe Tătărăscu. Erected by ruler Radu the Great in 1495, completed and blessed by Voivode Negoe Basarab 25 years later, the Târgoviște Metropolitan Bishopric was pulled down and rebuilt in 1889, in the shape in which it dazzles us today. Erected in full Brâncoveanu age, almost 300 years ago, the wooden churches from Cobia, preserved by county council funding, are now a big tourist attraction. History and time have bestowed upon this land a genuine dowry for future generations. One of its most remarkable assets is the Princely Court National Compound, which lodges some of the vestiges of the past. The compound includes the Great Princely Church, In the church porch, there is a bell dating back from 1669, a gift from Romanian ruler Brâncoveanu, which wisely dreams of immortality. If you turn your eyes to the ruins of the palace, you can see the Tower of Chindia, standing tall, derelict, but still mighty, erected in the mid-15th century by the well-known voivode Vlad the Impaler. The tower had multiple uses: fortifications, watchtower, storehouse for the treasure, and keep. From here, you can admire the ruins of the princely palace, refurbished through the restoration of vaults, floors, and by adding a loggia on the western side of the palace at the end of the 17th century. The palace was the residence of 33 Wallachian rulers. Documented in 1517, the St. Friday Church, also known as the Small Princely Church, instills a feeling of eternity into the travellers in search of peace of mind. On a hilltop near Târgoviște stands the Dalu Monastery, deemed one of the most beautiful pieces of Romanian architecture. It was built in the 15th century, during the reign of Radu the Great, on the very spot where documents from 1431 mentioned a wooden church. The head of the great voivode Michael the Brave, the first ruler to unify the three Romanian provinces, is buried here. One of his captains brought it here and carved the following in the tombstone. Here lies the honest and defunct head of the Christian Michael, the great voivode, ruler of Wallachia, Transylvania and Moldavia. The monastery still possesses, from before World War I, a valuable collection of exhibits which recreates the history and role of the famous church. The Dalu Monastery has, throughout time, been a very important cultural center. The southern loggia gives you a splendid view of the town. For over 300 years, the town of Târgoviște was the capital of the historic